Welcome back. I'm Jim O'Neill, and we're diving back into the Hathors, who are an ascended civilization channeled by Tom Kenyon, and maybe others, but he's the one I know about and find very interesting due to his background as a psychotherapist and hypnotherapist and brain researcher. In addition, he uses sound and sound healing, so vibration and sound to evoke higher levels of consciousness and or open doorways to portals that you may not even understand. But I'm going to share this Hathor planetary message through Tom Kenyon, and specifically on something they call chaotic nodes. Now, we talked about how there's changes in all these things. So it's important to put, I think, things into context in a bigger picture with what you're seeing. And the idea really by sharing this anyway, is to alleviate fear and start to cultivate greater love in your life, even if that looks bleak or impossible. That is a choice, and that's a powerful choice that we're all going to have to make. So one of the things in this article is titled The Heart Portal Sound Meditation, which are available through Tom Kenyon's website as well as Spotify, and I think maybe even YouTube and other things. So this is a Hathor planetary message through Tom Kenyon, and he gets into this. He begins by, I guess this is coming from them, but talking about COVID-19. So the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic is only one aspect of this current multifaceted chaotic node. So that term, chaotic node. And then economic, political, and social volatility are also aspects of this chaotic node. Another less visible aspect is the spreading of fear, which is itself a type of emotional pandemic. So that's important to know because, through all of the things that we've gone through in recent times, it is very important to understand where you are consuming information from and how it can captivate your mind and allow you to be manipulated. And we are manipulated all the time. And once you become aware of that, it's a little bit easier to see it. It's hard to unsee once you understand certain things. But I say that without judgment, and we're all on our own path, so there's no judgment with wherever you are with things. But you maybe notice people, right, like that watch certain channels or consume things from social media, and they're always jacked up and ready to fight somebody, or just in a constant state of fear or whatever it might be. So I say that without judgment, but it's really important that you bring awareness to this, and this is why I'm shining a spotlight on it, because I believe it's very important to know. So again, we're getting into Tom Kenyon, his channeling messages from the Hathors, and so this is from an article he wrote in the Hathors archives on chaotic nodes. And again, I want to clarify, this is from 2009, so April 27th, 2009. So we'll dive in. Any energetic system that shifts to higher or lower orders of coherency passes through chaotic events in its journey to a new resting energy state. Your Earth is no exception to this. With this in mind, we anticipate a planetary increase in chaotic events. By this we mean that a large-scale chaotic event is near. We call such events chaotic nodes. They are precursors to geometric progressions of chaotic events, and you are at the threshold of such a node. Chaotic nodes are actually crests in quantum wave potential driven by the interaction of many energetic domains simultaneously. Let's take a look at water as a metaphor for what we are discussing, and then we would like to extrapolate this to your world situation. When you boil water, molecules that comprise the water, parentheses, which are made from the bonding of atomic hydrogen and oxygen, close parentheses, speed up. This is unseen by you because this domain is too small for you to see. But if you touch the pot, you will feel warmth. As the heat continues, the water molecules move around even faster, bumping into each other more often, creating even more friction. Some of the water moves into a faster rate of vibration and changes its nature from water into steam. If you touch the pot at this point, you would describe it as hot. Indeed, it would burn you if you kept your hands on the pot of boiling water too long. Prior to the application of heat to water, one could say that the water resided with a certain energy domain, which you could measure via its temperature. As the temperature increases due to the application of heat, there is an increase of chaos as the water molecules start moving around more rapidly. Now, if water molecules had the human characteristics of resistance to change, then they would find the increased heat and the resulting chaos difficult to contend with. When the water reaches boiling point, it enters what we call a chaotic node. This is a shifting of energy state, and if you look into a pot of water just before it starts to boil, you can see this. At first, there is a trickle of bubbles up to the surface, and as these reach the surface of the water, the steam is emitted. At first, you will just see a little bit of steam, but as the entire pot of water reaches the boiling point, you will see what is called a roiling boil. At this point, the water is very turbulent, and a lot of it starts to change its energy state from a liquid, water, into a gas, steam. The point we wish to meet here is that a chaotic node is similar to water shifting to a roiling boil, in that water moving from being hot to roiling boil is a sudden shift that is inherently volatile. And once a chaotic node manifests, it is very difficult to predict what will happen next. If you were a single molecule of water in this roiling boil that just entered a chaotic node, you would be hard-pressed to know where you might be at any moment. You might be at the bottom of the pot and suddenly find yourself driven up to the surface by rapidly moving convection currents. And in the swift, unanticipated moment, you could shift your energy state from water to vapor, steam. This is a metaphor, of course, and we are not implying that you are as simple as water, although water is far more fascinating than people realize. But getting back to the Hathors, but the principles of chaotic nodes apply to all energy systems, including both your energy systems and the energy systems of Earth. As we said, we anticipate that you are at the cusp of one such chaotic node, and there are any number of factors that can start the process. As we said earlier, chaotic nodes are driven by the interactions of many energetic domains simultaneously, and there are a large number of possible catalysts, including, but certainly not limited to, increased solar flare activity, which we have seen a lot of very recently. Bacterial and viral mutations, ecosystem distress, severe fluctuations in weather patterns affecting the availability of food and water, earth changes including volcanic and earthquake activity, financial instability, and political ineptitude in managing world events. I mean, this is kind of nailing it, right? When a chaotic node arrives on your timeline, it is likely that several of these factors will escalate and interact with each other in ways that cannot be anticipated. As we view it, there is a high probability that you will experience other chaotic nodes in the next 10 years. So this was in 2009. I mean, you're getting right into the whole COVID stuff, with increasing intensity and frequency, meaning that there will be an increase in their numbers. So I guess that's kind of where we would say, let's kind of buckle up, right? Not in a fear way, all right, but getting back to the words of the Hathors. From the vantage point of a being who wishes to reside in lower energy states and its attendant lower states of consciousness, for example, your average human, the arrival of a chaotic node is not an easy thing to contend with. I think a lot of us are feeling that now, right? That sort of uncertainty, that heavy energy that's happening. So then it goes on, this is because all types of unpredictable events and relationships will arise as the chaos reaches a crescendo point. Many people will tend to mental and emotional instability in the face of a chaotic node. This is a result of their perceived reality collapsing. So that's a pretty good sketch of what's going on right now and what a lot of people are seeing and waking up to. And again, this is written, 15 years ago. So getting back to it, indeed, in the coming years, many facets of your individual and collective realities will be challenged. From our perspective, this increase in chaotic nodes is both an inescapable aspect of energy state physics and a requirement for your shift into higher dimensions of consciousness. Again, referencing the shift, the ascension, all these things. So then, it continues. This will be a challenging time for many, as the world they thought they knew morphs before them. Okay, so the world they knew changes before them. But it is also a period with immense potential for accelerated evolution. So then they clarify that's meaning a shift into higher dimensions of consciousness. By higher dimensions of consciousness, we specifically mean an awareness of time and space that is simultaneously not confined by these perceptions. At present, humanity is keenly aware of its material existence, but not so aware of its existence in other realms of energy or dimensions. When the bulk of humanity experiences the existence of other realms of energy collectively, it will enter a golden age. So there's a message of hope in there. So getting back to it, but alas, you are still in the birthing process of this and have not yet been collectively born into this reality. Some individuals are making this shift even in the midst of increased chaos. In fact, if you are prepared, these chaotic nodes can actually assist you to shift your own energy states to a higher order. The result of this shift in consciousness is that you will become more creative when dealing with new and novel situations. And shifting to an energy state that is of a higher order, so increased coherency, will allow you to directly experience your transcendent nature, which is beyond the constraints of time and space, even while you live an embodied life. So, our advice during chaotic nodes is to engage the Holland of Ascension as often as possible. That is a technique, practice that they give that I can get into another time. This will shift your energy state and allow you to pass through the chaotic elements of your reality more graciously and with greater fluidity, allowing you to more likely be in the right place at the right time rather than in the wrong place at the wrong time. In point of fact, from our view, there is no right or wrong place to be. Okay, so when they clarify that, it is what you do with the present itself to you that matters. Sorry, it is what you do with what presents itself to you that matters. So no matter what's thrown at you, it's how you are handling it in the now moment that really matters. As humanity collectively, so we're all in this together, so this concept of interdependency, as humanity collectively begins to pass into this imminent chaotic node, expect more of the unexpected than you can ever imagine in your wildest sci-fi movies. Goes on to say, engage in the Holland of Ascension often and shift your own energy. Move up the ladder of consciousness. And so that is a message channeled by Tom Kenyon from the Hathors. So there's a lot in there to unpack. And, kind of nailing what's happening in this moment. This again is, 15 years ago, over 15 years ago. But we're in the midst of a lot of chaotic nodes that they're pointing out here. And shifting in your energy is a huge deal. So how you perceive the world. Is a big deal, right? Like, because you could just be locked in a perpetual state of fear and fight or flight. Just got back from a recent family thing and hadn't seen a relative in a while, and like the first words out of their mouth was something to the effect of Putin and like the end of the world and how evil he is and yada yada yada, the Ukraine war. I probably have a very different, I do have a different opinion on all that. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, so I don't play certain things or agree with certain things that we do. But my point in bringing it up is that person was like literally locked into that. Like that is their world. Like this fear of the world ending, and we're in this perpetual warfare, and life is a battle, and it consumes them. So when you are consumed in that state, and this is part of the shift. I mean, some people are not, they're not going to shift into modes of higher consciousness. And it might be people that you know and love and trust. Everything unfolds in its own time. But I think it's helpful, and if you're listening to this, to know that those things will happen, But you're going to have a choice to make whether you choose to, they talked about like how you deal with what presents itself to you that matters. Are you going to handle things in a loving way, or are you going to stay stuck in a state of fear and operate in that way? The truth is going to be stranger than fiction. They kind of touch on that, but these Hollywood movies and themes, it's going to blow us all away. And it's going to be super fascinating, but we're in the roiling boil at the moment, and it may look bleak, and there's going to be times we get spun around and we're not sure where we are. Used to play rugby, and sometimes we'd take a shot to the head and not know where to go next. I think it's going to be a little bit like that. I think all these things are going to happen on some level, with instability, with financial markets, and war. We still run through this program of war like it's necessary. We have to be in this perpetual state of fighting, even though we all have the power to blow each other up now, which will not happen because the powers that be will not let it happen. There's simply too many consequences to all that. But there's a lot going on, and this is again an article on Chaotic Notes on TomKenyon.com. Highly recommend his work. Consume anything you can from him, his music, his sound healing. It's tremendous. He has a number of articles on his website. I'm a huge fan, as you can maybe tell. But just a little bit of kind of what we're dealing with right now. Be hopeful, be optimistic, but live in the moment with love. If you do that and you tune into your heart in how you interact with yourself and other people, they talked a little bit about increase in coherency. But as you do that, you're going to find, I would say, greater delight in your life, greater maybe ease in your life when you're able to do that. So tune into your heart as best you can and listen. Something we could all do a little bit better at with each other. So that is what I have to share. If you have any questions, I would love to engage with you. Please like, subscribe if that feels right for you, or leave a comment. I would be happy to hear from you. It is a pleasure to share this. So thank you, and until next time.